Hey, good morning and welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I'm Ken Walls and I'm your host. And today I have an amazing lady who's turned into a fantastic friend of mine. She's amazing. Y'all are going to love this woman's story, and what she has accomplished in life is incredible. I have the one and only Connie Wittich on the show today. So do me a favor and share this out with everybody you know right now. Share it out across all your social media platforms and stay with me because I will be right back with the one and only Connie Wittich on the show. Let's go. And we are back. Let me bring Connie on. Connie, welcome to the show.
Hi, Ken. It's great to be here. Thank you.
It's great to have you here. So I just learned about 4 minutes ago that I've been saying your last name wrong all this time. And that's
My last
terrible.
name's German.
I know, but I didn't know that the CH was I thought it was and it's Connie Wittich is on the show today. Connie, listen, I started this show 5 years ago, was literally for selfish reasons. I wanted to have a breakthrough in my own life. And I thought, you know what? Being stuck sucks. And I'll bet you that I can interview people and find out how they got unstuck and their ups and downs in life. And so far so good. It's worked out pretty well, and I'm grateful that you're here today.
Oh, thank you. I'm great. I'm very, very happy and grateful that I'm here. I'm super excited.
Why don't you start with telling everybody where you were born and raised?
Well, I was born in Richmond, Virginia, and raised in Roanoke, Virginia, in the southwestern part of Virginia, in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, wow. So, yeah. I've been there. And I'm like, I think I just made a left turn in the middle of nowhere.
That's right. It's a little city. It's nestled in it's a star city. That's what Roanoke's named for, is the large, big star that sits on top of the mountain.
I've actually seen that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I think it was on somewhere over there in that general area. I was almost struck by lightning.
Yeah, it's a large star. You know, James Barber actually was at the Playhouse in a show or some type of performance. Wow. That's right near the large star in Roanoke, Virginia.
That's cool. Look who's on here. Do you see that?
I do. Our dear friend Jill.
Jill, she's so amazing. So, Connie, talk about what it was like for you growing up in Virginia as a kid. What was it like?
It was super fun. It was, really outdoorsy. We could, go riding on the Blue Ridge Parkway when they shut down the parkway, with bicycles, and we went hiking a lot of sports. It was super fun, but I loved the cities. It was a great place to grow up, but it wasn't a place that I stayed.
Right.
My father was from New York City, so we would go to New York, and my grandfather lived in New York City. And so I fell in love with art and design through going to galleries at a very young age. Oh, I thought the art world was fascinating. And but I never majored in fine art. Well, I mean, I probably would have been a gallery owner or majored in like art history if I didn't have this experience where there was a mobile home that kind of trailer that drove throughout southwestern Virginia and Tennessee and kind of the rural areas of the states. And the guy that was doing these exhibitions said, if you majored in art history, you can do this too. And I thought, no, I don't want to do that. So I'd rather be in a city. So I gravitated
Wow.
to cities. So
What? But what was the? What do you think the trigger was, or the catalyst for you falling in love with art? What was that?
um, it was a um, it was a teacher in middle school. You had to
Okay.
be invited to private art lessons on Saturday, and it was a real honor to be there. All the cool people were there. And so I think that was a main trigger for the love of painting and art.
Wow. Okay. So
And then in high school, we got to, if you took a fashion merchandising class, you got to spend a week and a half in New York City, going to the fashion, touring the fashion industry, really all the different facets, and also FIT. So I was very fortunate to get firsthand exposure to the art world.
wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, not
So
everybody does that.
you where did you end up, did you go to college?
I did. I went to University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and I
Wow.
majored in business because everybody told me that I could get a job, um,
Right.
in accounting. The only thing is,
In
although all those
accounting?
classes were great, but yeah, art was too scary, right? I sell
Yeah.
creative ideas. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a whole talent to itself. But
Right.
I built a couple businesses that's accounting centric, and I needed that piece of the education. I needed that knowledge, and
Yeah.
it's become very handy. And then I accepted a scholarship to the Museum School of Fine Arts after I graduated because I didn't really want to work at a bank. And I figured I could figure out what I was interested in, and I was able to take classes all over Boston. And I looked at a master's program at MIT. It's called the Media Center. And I was about to apply to that when I was taking another class in interior design. And it just kind of hit me that when I was giving my final presentation, I love selling creative ideas, and I like 3D design. So so I ended up going back to school for interior architecture, interior design.
For a master's degree?
No, I went back to
Oh,
VCU in Virginia has a really strong design school, so I went back for an undergraduate.
okay.
I didn't want to teach; I wanted to work, so I didn't need a master's. But I was going to go to Pratt in New York, but this program was so strong, I just in 2 years picked up another degree. And
I'm curious, what did your parents do for a living? Did
well,
you already say that?
no, my mother was a teacher, and she
Okay.
taught school. She taught learning disabilities, but learning disabilities really wasn't a niche back then. So
Right.
she taught herself how to teach. And so she was a pioneer in that part of the country. Um,
Wow.
Parents would send their kids to a very, very poor school to um, to be taught by a specialist in that field. So
Wow.
one one family was paying, thousands in tuition to go to the poorest school in the city. That was
Yeah.
years ago.
So
Now
your
the field.
mother had a sounds like she had a compassionate side, at
Oh
least.
yeah, she loved to teach, and she was
Yeah.
super intellectual, and she
Yeah.
loved kids. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. her dream was to, she's passed away, but her dream was to start like the Sylvan Learning School. That was years and years ago. She
Wow.
had about 23 tutors that were volunteers that helped. Um, every
Wow.
child in her classroom had one-on-one um,
Wow.
instruction for, I would say, 50% of the time through parents that she trained to teach them.
That's
So,
amazing.
yeah, it was super,
That's amazing.
super cool.
And so what did your father do?
My father ran. He was a minister, and he came from a well-to-do family in New York City, but he ended up running. It was called Total Action Against Poverty. It was a community action center, and it had
Mhm.
about 600 people employed.
Wow.
And when he retired about 7 years ago, a couple of flags were flown over the Capitol in Washington, D.C. He was very politically connected. Um,
Wow.
he started programs for all just different types of programs that have gone national, like the Virginia Water Project. And then he had a whole development group that like companies would donate buildings and then they renovate and put businesses
Wow.
in the buildings to help poor neighborhoods. So
Oh, that's really cool.
my
Wow.
parents did not go into business to make money. They went into business to help people. It's super
Yeah.
cool.
That's really, really cool. That's a really good reason to be in business, actually.
Yeah, no, it
Yeah.
is.
It's
It is.
it's a great foundation. So what because I'm kind of curious, I always think that um there's my wife watching. I always feel like, there's someone or something, events that kind of push us in the direction we go as adults. And you said you had that art teacher, which is really, really cool. Um, is there anything else that kind of comes to mind that has pushed you as an adult from your childhood that you're like, yeah, I think this kind of drove what I do now?
I honestly think it was the art
Yeah.
classes. And
Yeah.
then I took a lot of fine art classes. The avenues that opened were in art or connected with design. You have to go where your strengths and passion lays, right?
Yeah.
And if
Right.
you do that, you'll be highly successful.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I, when I was in middle school, I spent a lot of time up in New York with my uncle, who was an artist, and Stephen Edlick, and then my grandfather, who was a doctor, and he had an office right down from the Washington Arch. Most of
Mm.
his patients were artists, a lot from the
Wow.
Juilliard School dancers. Um, and like Franz Klein and Richard Diebenkorn were patients of his. So they later in life became celebrity artists. And my
Yeah.
grandfather did a lot of commissioning, and
Wow.
before they were famous, and he became a well-known art collector. And he was a benefactor of the Metropolitan Museum, so we would, you know, get to go there. So I had a
Wow.
really um, interesting end to the art world through my family.
Yeah.
So that most people would never see. When you go to my grandfather's um, studio, it was like sitting in a museum. So I
Wow.
was truly blessed to be surrounded by beautiful, creative pieces of art.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So you ended up going back to school. You got another degree, and
Yes, I
what was
stayed in
the sec?
school a lot. Well, at the museum school, I was there for 2 years, and I took illustration classes and marketing
Okay.
classes in different schools. It was an open scholarship that I had access to schools all over Boston. I never
Wow.
really knew how I would use illustration, but I was very grateful for that experience. And then I went back to school for design. And when I came out of school, I had probably 15 interviews in Washington, D.C., Baltimore, and Philadelphia in one
Wow.
week. And I found a great job. And then the whole economy collapsed 2 weeks later. And fortunately,
Wow.
yeah. So fortunately, I picked the right job. It was with a architecture school in Baltimore City, and they needed an interior designer to be competitive. And
Wow.
Joe, who owned the company, became a very dear friend of mine, and
Wow.
I'm still really close to his whole family. Steve is he has a video company in Roanoke, Virginia, and Eileen's out in California. I did all of Joe's work all over the country and world for many, many years after I left
And
his firm.
that's an architectural firm?
It's an architectural firm. It's no longer. Um, Joe passed away about I don't know 7-10 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So, and how long did you say you worked for them?
I worked for them for about 6 years, and then I went to a development group, and it was a startup company back then. It's now a $1 billion company. It's Erickson Living, and
Ooh,
we worked with our team was super brilliant, and
wow.
that was an awesome experience. We figured out how to move um, senior living campuses. They're like college campuses, but they're for seniors and
Yeah.
across the country. So I was there for about 7 campuses, and
Wow.
we did a lot of custom furniture because furniture wasn't really developed back then for seniors, and we did a lot of custom working with product designers. So I built my business around that experience for senior living, hospitality, resorts, high-end residential. And so we work with companies globally, and it's a very different business model than most design firms.
How's it so much different?
Well, we work on large scale projects, and we start with procurement in mind when we start designing, and we start putting together. I do have a business background, and developers. When I was at the development company, where we work first on the performa, and then on the design, and then pretty much together for both. And so we start putting together the procurement, um, the budget and the procurement as we go through the project. And we start, like for skilled nursing, we do a lot of importing. We work with companies like Jill's company, and we will
That Jill.
uh, that Jill, yeah, FDS,
Yeah.
and we'll put together. We'll work directly with factories, so the product is super, super good quality
Yeah.
and a great price it's a win-win for our clients, for us, and the people um, that are. I'm not used to all these pop-ups here, Ken.
I'm doing that. That's Dan
Oh, okay.
Altmeyer. He's just saying hi.
Hey, Dan. Um, so anyway,
So go back to you got your 15th degree. I'm kidding. You're very, very educated. But you got your degree, you get the job, you work for 6 years for the company. You said the economy collapsed.
the economy collapsed, but I was still there for 6 years. It was
Okay.
a super. I've been very fortunate to work with really great people and
Yeah.
really talented, creative people. And
Yeah.
so so then after about 6 years, I got the opportunity to go to Erickson Living, and I was there for about 7-8 years.
Yeah.
And I decided that I wanted to start my own company, and so I started Metropolitan Studio. I didn't really know
Talk
how it
about,
would work out, but it's worked out pretty well.
yeah. Well, talk about how, um, here you are working for Erickson Living. You said it was a startup company when you first started there.
Yeah, I was hired to work with Scott Hayward, and we
Who's that?
were working this really brilliant project. He was I think a VP back then.
Okay.
He was heading up development, and
Okay.
we were working on they in a startup you create a model, right, and that had been built out, and then they were expanding, and so I was hired to work on the first expansion, which was a campus with 21 buildings and
Gee.
in Baltimore. And so after Scott and I, we were pretty much out front from the rest. Our team was fairly large. There were about 6 of us working on the managing the project, and then you had a whole team of consultants. And then, of
Wow.
course, the construction company. It was a huge operation, and each campus, you needed about $500 million. It's a huge deal, and it changes people's lives for the better. I was talking to Patricia last night, and she was talking about, it's such a big deal to, live in a senior living because you're going towards the end of your life. And I mentioned that I didn't look at it that way. I look at it as your next adventure because
Yeah.
there's so many opportunities to have such great memories and adventures and these
Yeah.
beautiful resort style living communities that environments keep you well, and
Yeah.
wellness is in the forefront today with all the baby boomers. So
Yeah.
it's a
Right.
huge field, and we're very blessed to be a part of that.
So talk about the moment that you left this big company and decided to start your own firm. Um, typically that if you're working for a company and then you start your own company in the same or similar field, a lot of times it's out of, maybe resentment sometimes, or I
No,
know I can do this better, or was it something else? What was it that made
no,
you
I
go,
just wanted to have my own company, and
wow,
I didn't do senior living back then. For um,
got it.
for um, I started working with architecture firms. Have always been one of my avenues for really cool projects. And
Yeah.
I worked with a very large company called Air St. Gross. And one day Under Armour walked in their office. So we worked with Under Armour for um, about a year and helping them figure out what their next steps were. And
And this was for interior design stuff?
yes, it was interior design. Yeah.
So Under Armour was like, "Hey, we need our offices redesign."
No, they
How
were
did how
looking
what
at they hired, Air St. Gross to, take a look at, whether they wanted a camp how what style campus did they want to build, and they ended up, staying in the inner city and building an urban campus, and we
Wow.
worked with them on spatial needs. There's a whole, like, legwork that you have to do before you even start design, and that's
Was
called
that in
programming.
Baltimore?
That was in Baltimore. And then I
So
worked
Under
on
Armour's headquarters is in Baltimore.
it's in Baltimore City.
Did not know that.
Yeah, and then I also worked on, projects like Monticello's Visitor Center. You don't get any more, um, it's Monticello Thomas Jefferson, in
Oh,
Charlottesville, Virginia. So I worked
okay.
on huge high-profile projects for many,
Wow.
many years, and then, I had the opportunity to work on a project out in Utah, a senior living project. 2 architecture firms invited me to work on this 100-acre site. And and that changed my life, because all of a sudden I decided that I love Utah. I love being out west. So I opened another office out here. And
So
then
you were
COVID.
in Baltimore.
Yes.
You go to Utah to work on a project, and you're like, let's go to Utah.
No, I would fly back and forth. And
Well, yeah.
then when COVID hit, I still have an office in Baltimore, but a
Oh,
lot
you
of my
do?
yes, a lot of my
Oh,
time is spent out here, because we're so busy in California, all over the place. We have now a couple projects in Florida, and but I love Utah, and I'm very happy to be here.
we're ginormous fans of Utah ourselves. So you when did you open Utah? And
We started an office 2 years ago
oh,
during
okay.
right when COVID, the East Coast was pretty shut down, and
Okay.
we got really busy. Well, our projects are all over, so I
The
need to be
world.
near. Yeah, I just need to be near an airport, and Salt Lake
Yeah.
City has a great airport, and Baltimore is right near DC, so you've got choices of 4 different airports in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, we may end up opening another office in New York City in the next year or 2.
Wow.
So we shall see.
Well, you're definitely a shaker and a mover. I know that about you big time.
Thank you, Ken.
What do you think is I mean, you deal with a lot of businesses, a lot of companies, a lot of people. Um, what do you think is missing in a lot of companies? What are some of the big elements that you're like, man, if they would do A, B, and C, they could really have their do together.
They hire us to help them figure out what's missing, and so we get hired a lot for. We love what you do. We we don't know how to do it, and we know we need you, but
Yeah.
we're really scared. This is very different. And so that's where illustrations come in. I never really understood why I landed in school for illustrations.
Right.
We do a lot of renderings, and so that our clients can see um, what they're getting, and they can say yes, no. We have a 10 principles of design, outside in co-creation. And that co-creation is, we have a process that we can take a client from start to finish, and they're 100% on board, when the project opens. I guess a year ago, we opened a large building in St. George for a client. It was in senior living.
Yeah.
And I think I got the best compliments. One from a resident that said, I've been here a month, and every day I wake up happy. I didn't realize how color and light and environment changes my mindset. And
Wow.
I thought that was super cool. And
That's
then
awesome.
yeah. And then we also, the CEO of the company, Western States Lodging, when we were walking through the building, he said, we achieved every single
Yeah.
thing that we wanted to achieve. And I love the word we, because the building was very different, you know, than a lot of the other projects. And it turned out super cool. We've
Yeah.
won we've won tons of awards. We won the Gold Nugget Award in Anaheim, California. We won the National Home Builders Silver Award, and both of those awards we were put into the gold category.
Wow.
And then some local awards in Utah. So it was super
Wow.
cool. We just opened another project with a client, and it was a renovation, and our renovations don't look anything like where we started from. And it really, our designs are the platform for our client success.
You know,
Yeah.
so there's this one project that just blows my mind. And I'm going to share your website right now with everybody so they can see this. It's insane what you all have done with this. I'm going to give it full screen here. So look at this. Talk about this. What is that? That's just unbelievable.
It's a resort in Bali in Ubud. And I share an office with an architectural firm called In Place Design. And then we also work with another group in Indonesia, Alami. So our three companies worked on the design of the resort. And it's super special. It's in the mountain region. And yeah, and Dustin and his team, this is a rendering, but we have a huge model in the office, and it's we won 2 international awards in London for this project.
That is unbelievable. I mean, that just looking at this, I mean, that had to the cost of that has got to be at least 100,000.
It's a
No,
super cool
I look at that and I think, my gosh, it's so beautiful. It's beautiful.
It's
And
beautiful.
that was your brainchild.
Well, I was with a team, so that was
Wow.
Dustin. Yeah, we work with large design teams on projects like that.
Yeah.
So
It's amazing.
I worked on, when you pull up the interiors of the units, you can see the views. I don't know if you can scroll.
Hold it. You can pull that up here.
Yeah, go to portfolio.
Oh,
Just, yeah. And
look
then
at some of the
scroll
work.
down a little bit.
This is crazy. This is in China.
China. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
St.
And these
George.
are renderings or they're real?
The one to the left is a rendering. The Utah picture is real. That's real.
Wow.
Yeah,
I
I have
mean, just gorgeous.
yeah, click on the project. Click on that project.
This?
Yes, click on it. Just push the
Okay.
button. Okay, now you can scroll.
Yep. Oh, there we
There you can
go.
see the project
Jeez.
hasn't been completed yet, but that's the view out of the vacation homes.
Oh my gosh. Absolutely gorgeous. That is just absolutely beautiful. And your website
Thank
is
you.
absolutely beautiful too. Look at
Thank you.
this. Wow.
I work with a
Amazing.
super talented web designer and a
Yeah.
great programmer.
Well, since I've been
Chad.
doing web design since the internet started, I'm telling you, that is a gorgeous, gorgeous website.
Well, I love your stuff too. I
Thank
just
you.
met them before I met you.
I know. Now you need to forget about them.
Yeah.
I'm just
Well,
kidding.
we're gonna work on our landing pages.
I mean, honestly, though, this is so beautiful. There's not a thing. And my wife does all the design, and she's a wonderful designer. Um, there's nothing that I would change. Nothing. It's just beautiful. It's a beautiful website. So,
Thank you.
congratulations. But
Thank you.
you know, when I asked you what are some of the missing components from businesses, I really what I meant was because I know you pretty well, and I'm grateful I know you as well as I know you. You're a very, very effective and powerful leader. And, there's a lot of businesses that, we'll just say they suck at leadership. Um, what do you see missing at a leadership level at the top of these companies? I mean, we've all been at the beginning stages of starting a business with
Mhm.
maybe zero employees in the beginning moment. And then, it builds over time. But what do you think is missing from a lot of these companies that, um,
I think what's missing is a vision. We work a lot with CEOs,
mm,
and they are they have a vision, or we're helping them define their vision of what their net. You always have to reinvent yourself. You take a look at your life, Ken. How many times have you reinvented? How
I
many
do it
times
every day.
yeah.
I
How
feel like I feel like it.
we we reinvent our image all the time. Um,
Yeah,
my website, we had time. It was during
yeah,
COVID, right?
yeah,
I do
yeah.
senior living hospitality resorts. There was a
Right.
period of time where projects were put on hold because our clients were just figuring out how to keep people alive.
Yeah.
So, so it's the reinvention, and so clients hire us for the reinvention of what's their next step.
Right.
Senior living is a huge opportunity. Hotels are a huge opportunity. Um, brand hotels will start, give you the platform, but you really, people want the experience. They want to be local. So you can take the platform and the design and then curate it so that you get more of a local feel. I mean, there's
Right.
every place in the world usually has some type of um, local um, history or whatever, it's something that you want to experience while you're there,
Yeah.
whether it's just one night or, if you're in skilled nursing, you could be there a very long time. So,
Yeah.
but I would say most CEOs hire us to figure out what their next step, their next vision. So,
Bob Donnell asks a really good question. How has culture changed since the pandemic changed?
oh, that's a really good question.
It is.
Um,
Bob
I
should be
think
doing this interview. Bob, come here. I'm kidding. Bob's
I think
awesome.
that culture has, um, I think people want an elevated life. They wanted the authenticity. They want to work with real people. Even though, we are all pretty much global.
Yeah,
We've been working on Zoom for years and years, way before the pandemic.
sure.
But I think the authenticity and people want to be connected to wherever they're experiencing, you know,
Right.
the environment.
So, do you think that's a cultural change though?
I do. I think that people really I think it was a different I think it's a was a different mindset before the pandemic. You look at how many concerts everybody's going to concerts now. People were going to
Yeah.
concerts before, but it's just different. The shows are even more spectacular. People, I think, embrace things a little bit stronger because it was taken away for, in some cases, depending on where you lived, at least 2 years.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's crazy.
yeah.
Absolutely crazy. So, what's next for you, Connie?
Oh, we love what we do, and we have a really great team of people. And, in my business, but we also partner with many different manufacturers. We partner with, um, design teams and
Yeah.
corporations. So I think the next 10 years are going to be a super ride.
Yeah.
What we do is fun. We change people's lives
What
for the
is
better.
your, you said that CEOs lack, or companies lack vision. Is that what you said?
No, no, CEOs need vision. So
Need vision.
yeah, they are the
Okay.
visionaries, right?
Right.
So
Right.
when you're reinventing, like senior living, you need to reinvent because what went on for the past 25 years is not what people want.
Yeah.
We're hired when we love projects when a community's 50% occupied because they need to reinvent themselves. So that's super creative. And so we help elevate our clients' businesses. It's a reinvention. We help people with their vision. They know they need to do something, they just don't know what they need.
So let me ask you this. What do you do for fun? What hobbies? I mean, outside of working, um,
So
what do
I
you do
love
for
golf.
fun?
I love golf.
Really?
And yeah, and I love living on golf courses. And then I also love skiing and hiking. So Park City is a
Wow.
great place. I also love
For
being in
all of
Florida.
that.
Yeah. My problem
Yeah.
is I love being in so many different places that it's hard to stay in one.
Yeah.
Well,
Bob has another great question. He meant dim. So the question is how do you reinvigorate a vision when it seems dim or even lost? Wow, that's a great question.
we use visionary sessions.
What's
So
that mean?
they're workshops. They're 2 or 3 day workshops, and we
Okay.
have tools to help identify and create. We sell creative ideas. We help CEOs create their next step, their next act within their company. And some companies hire us to elevate their buildings, and then they sell them. So
But
we work with
when you say a workshop, does that mean like you come in and teach them how to reinvigorate, or you come in and ask questions and get them
we ask
involved in it?
questions. It's a co-creation. Yeah,
Okay.
no, we're part of the process.
Got
And
it.
every corporation should do that at least every 2 years.
Wow.
They don't, but they should,
Yeah,
because
they
you always
don't.
want to stay in the forefront. And
It
your environment and how you work, um, whether you're in the hospitality field, a corporate office, even a
yeah.
hospital, healthcare, makes a big difference on productivity and the bottom line. People
I
need
I
to
I,
feel
I
awesome
think
with
it's
it.
to your point. There are, I think what happens, Connie, is these companies, these brands, especially the big brands, they almost develop an air of arrogance that they don't have to. They don't have to reinvent or reinvigorate or any of that they can do what they've always done. And then along comes a gal like you or somebody like me that's like, yeah, I think I'm going to disrupt this entire industry and do something completely different. And they go, what just happened? What happened? We just lost the market share.
Yeah, and we work with startups that are disruptive,
Yeah.
and it's super fun to watch them grow and become major players.
Yeah.
So
It's
it's
really
it's
cool.
it's really cool. Everybody
Yeah.
needs to reinvent. I mean,
Yeah. I
whether
agree.
yeah.
I agree. Thank you, Bob. So, question. and I ask everybody this question on the show. Um, I've been broke and homeless, and I've been wealthy. And I can tell you from those experiences that wealthy is much better. Just saying. Um, what do you think, in your opinion, holds people back in life from getting everything they want? Financial freedom, real joy and happiness, living on a golf course, playing golf in Florida, from having it all in life. What do you think stops people? Fear is the number one answer. You have to do better than that.
Mindset.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable. I don't know about you, but a lot of what I do is uncomfortable. I mean, that's how I met you. Is I needed to really get into the marketing, and
Yeah.
I decided I didn't want to be just on the East Coast. So you have to get into a whole different mindset,
Yeah.
and there's a huge learning curve. You never stop learning, and you have the marketing. You're helping me start a podcast, The Art of
Yeah.
Living Young. I mean, you have all these tools
Yeah.
that I need, and and I think that's what it's scary.
Just
So
like this is scary, isn't it?
it's scary.
Being on screen all by yourself.
That's right.
It is
It's
scary,
scary.
but there, the thing is, one of the things I love about you is, I talked to you about joining our mastermind, and it was a $20,000 investment, and it took 5-minute conversation. You're like, okay, I'm in, let's do it, I'm in. And I was like, well,
It was
don't
one of the
you want
best
to?
investments I've ever made. It's
Oh,
the
thank
people
you.
I met, and
Yeah.
the skills that I have picked up, and the friendships.
Yeah.
We're friends, but we also have business deals. We all,
That's right.
and I hire you to help me do all this other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you pull me into business deals, introduce me to different people. Um,
Yeah.
and, fortunately, I met Jill. Um, and that's how I
Yeah.
met you. I met her at a hospitality show in New York City less than
Yeah.
a year ago. So it's
Jill's amazing. She's amazing.
yeah,
She's
her whole
amazing.
company is. So
Yeah.
we're meeting in New York City the first week in August. So super
Yeah.
excited about that. I have two
That's
team
awesome.
members that work for us, and they're in New York City. So
Yeah.
a lot of our team is remote. So
Have you ever how do I say it? So, this when my wife Jill, the other Jill, I have two Jills in my life, Jill Ann Donaldson and Jill Walls. But her and I started our first office, and she was primarily working from our house because we had a baby, um, and she was taking care of that, the taking care of that, of her, our daughter,
right.
and working in our business from home. And so I'm trying to manage a bunch of stuff, new employees and all kinds of stuff happening. And one day my car gets repossessed in front of all of my employees. And that was perhaps one of the worst days of my life. Like, I don't know if you've ever tried to talk a repo guy out of taking your car, but you can't. They won't. And so I'm standing in the parking lot with employees around me, watching my car go down the road on the back of this truck. And I'll never forget, like, that was the most humiliating moment of my life. And I'm sitting there going, what's the point of even continuing with any of this? And, because I'm like, they're probably standing there thinking, are we going to get paid? What is happening here?
Right.
And so my question for you is, have you ever experienced something where you just feel like all hope is lost, and what's the point in your business and in your life? Have you ever experienced that?
I have. I have had different, just like your wife, Jill.
Yeah.
My first studio was over the garage, and it was an amazing place to work. And I
Yeah.
had an office in my house while the kids were
Yeah.
growing up. And
Sure.
then I've had other businesses. I had an online registration startup businesses when we ended up selling it. I've had business partners that didn't work out.
Yeah.
And that is it's easy to say it didn't work out, but when you're going through it, it's
Yeah.
not so easy. And I
Correct.
think that when you own your own business, there's ups and downs, and it's the people that are around you that will pull you out of the downtime. And I've had a business where I came up with the idea. It didn't work out with the business partner, but I took all the employees,
Yeah.
and but they're not really employees; they're team members, and so they helped raise the platform. Again,
Yeah.
we do a lot of custom stuff,
Right.
and we do a lot of furniture and lighting and everything.
Right.
So um, it's a very unusual business plan, and I've got some really cool people that work with us that have super talent. Their superpowers are
Yeah.
different than most people, so they've kind of stuck through those bad times.
But
In
have
your
you had the moments where you couldn't make payroll, or you couldn't, or you maybe you were like, okay, are we making payroll, or any of that? Have you had any of those times where you're like, it's all going to collapse if this doesn't happen? Have you ever
oh,
had?
I I'm a hustler.
I know you are. So am
So,
I.
well, you are. You landed in a really bad business partner. I mean, y you didn't see all the things that were going down around you in that
Right.
situation. I've never been in that situation
Right.
like you
Right.
you have.
Right.
I've never,
Right.
not been able to make payroll, but I
Yeah.
hustle, and,
Yeah.
I love sales. Um,
And you're
I
good
love
at it.
sales. I love sales,
Right.
and,
Right.
I'm good at it. But, yeah, going through the breakup with business partners were it was a lot of money, and it wasn't fun. And I would say
Right.
to my, team members, "Am I gonna make it?" "Yes, you are." "Am I gonna make it?" "Yes, you are gonna make it." So,
Yeah. Bob asks the most intriguing questions. Who did
who
you
did you
have to become in those moments of crisis? Man, you gotta find your cape. Like, you gotta be like, I know there's a superhero in here somewhere. you know.
Yeah, um, you know, I think it's the people around me. I mean, you become friends with people. I mean, you and I work together, but we're also friends.
Yep.
And it's the people that you allow in that your inner circle. What someone calls it the green room. Was that Tim's
Tim
story?
Story.
Green,
Tim Story.
yeah, the
Yeah.
green room. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the people that you allow around you, and
Yeah.
you weed out the people that um, are negative. But my team, when I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is so hard," they're like, "Yeah, we're doing really well." So I have a team of
Right.
really good people, and I've never experienced what you experienced, and I hope I never
What
do.
if somebody called you and said, I've tried everything. I don't know what else to do. I'm having a hard time making it. What would you say to them to
Oh,
help
well,
them?
oh, no, I've had a hard time making it. I mean, it
Yeah.
hasn't been easy. When I
Well, what
was,
would you say to somebody if they called you in that position?
well, I was in that position. I had sold a company, um, and then I s that was in 2010. 2008, the whole landscape for design and real estate changed, and so your
Yeah.
connections change when, people move on to different, avenues, and so when I decided to rebuild my, design company, it 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 didn't I thought it would be easy. It wasn't easy because I had to make
Uh-huh.
different connections, and what I wanted to do was different than what I had done in the past.
Right.
So I started joining, and going to conferences on how to change, how do you create change in your life?
Mm,
And, through those conferences, like, I was at one conference and, off the cuff, I said, "It's really hard when you're, writing all these RFPs and you don't win." And my friend said, "Oh, you need to meet my husband." So I did, really worked on marketing materials. This was 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 3 maybe 2
yeah.
years ago. Um, and then I started joining masterminds,
Yeah.
and I started putting myself in different groups and different situations, which was hugely uncomfortable.
Right.
And so when you do the uncomfortable and reaching out beyond your normal
Yeah.
life, that's when things change. Don't you
And
agree?
what's the
You do the
best
same thing?
mastermind you've ever joined?
Oh, I love yours. Breakthrough walls, right?
That was a setup. I
Turn
teed
it
that
up.
ball up for you.
That's right.
Um, Listen, Connie, I love your energy and who you are, and your business is incredible. You are incredible, and your vision is just amazing.
Oh, thank you.
I do judge people by their websites. Um, and anybody that says they don't will lie to you about other things too. But no, I do, and your website is gorgeous. Everything that you are creating in your life is just something of beauty, and I love that about you.
Oh, thank you. We worked really hard on that website.
Yeah.
It went down for about a month, 3 weeks,
Wow.
about 2.5 years ago, and that is our visual page.
Yeah.
You
Sure.
have to have
Yeah.
an amazing website these days,
Yeah.
and if you don't, you're you're hurting your business.
You are. It's true. I
You
agree.
have to have the visual pieces.
People
So,
think that's my sales pitch, and it's not. It's like, you don't have to get a
it
website from me, but you better get a nice website, like, because people are looking at you, whether you like it or not,
yeah,
whether you
and the
believe it or
social
not.
media is huge.
Yep,
Um,
it
so
is.
you have to have all those the recipe, and
Yeah,
then, the other pieces that you're helping me with. You need the, email marketing, and you need the newsletters.
yep. True story.
So, yeah,
Connie Wittich. I've been calling you Wittich all of this time, and you never corrected me.
because everybody does. And you
Ah,
don't yeah.
Wittich.
Well, you don't
Why
really
don't
call
you
me
just
Connie.
change the H to a K?
Yeah.
You're like, because I'd never be able to go to Thanksgiving dinner again with my family, or no. So listen, I love your story. I'm grateful that you came on today and shared what you've shared with everyone. Everybody watching or listening, you need to go to Met Studio, met-studio.com, and check out everything that Connie is doing. Follow her on all the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram. She does like LinkedIn. I'm not a huge LinkedIn guy, but Connie loves LinkedIn. So Connie, what final words would you like to leave with the audience? You've got the whole world sitting there. You've got the microphone, and you have to deliver a message that inspires them to make a change in their life. What do you say to them starting now?
Well, I think that there's three components: mindset, your environment, and wellness that leads people to happy places in their lives. And Ken, you're helping me start my own podcast, The Art of Living Young. So
Yeah,
hopefully people will join us on The Art of Living Young.
they will. They will. Is all your social media linked from your website?
Yes,
I didn't even
it
look at
should
that.
be.
Okay, good. All right. Well, everybody go follow Connie and visit her website, met-studio.com. It's a beautiful website. And Connie, you're a beautiful woman, a beautiful person, a beautiful soul. And I love what you're doing for the world. So thank you for being on here today.
Well, thanks for having me, Ken. This was super fun.
It's awesome. So stay with me. I'm going to end the live stream. Everybody have a very blessed weekend, and we will see you all very, very soon. Connie, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ken. See ya.
Bye-bye.